why don't we just start with like what was your weekly revenue prior to starting and what do you do? So let's start there.
Yeah, so before joining the program, my weekly revenue was between 600 and 1500. It was just super inconsistent and hopped around. Sometimes I'd have 2 weeks that were really good, and sometimes I would have a week with like two jobs. And I do exterior cleaning and car detailing.
Okay, so it's like power washing and then car detailing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that's like a crazy range, right? Like 600 something bucks to 1500. So like let's just like meet in the middle and say you were doing like 950 to 1000 a week
Cool,
at
cool.
most. But
Yeah,
most of the time probably from what we looked at numbers wise, like maybe even a little less if we actually averaged it out.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like safely somewhere between there. So, yeah, I mean like that's been the case for about a year or two, would you say?
About a year, yeah, 10 months.
Okay, cool. And then where are you at now, 30 days in?
I just did a 2850 week and I've got another $2,800 week for next week and I'm hoping to get that to 3,000.
Okay, so like low end now, we're doing like consistently booking 2,800 to $3,000 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, for the
Okay,
last
cool.
3 weeks.
Yeah, and then you're working 5, 6 days a week. So you're gonna do like Lord willing, April, May, like 11, maybe even $12,000 a month, depending on
Yeah.
like how your Saturdays and Sundays shake out. Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah, pretty crazy, dude. It was really fast.
Yeah, the cool thing for you too is like it's been like you don't spend a ton on ads, which like
Yeah.
that's the other side. It's like you don't even hire you don't have an agency, do you? You don't hire any
Oh,
agency for anything. You run everything in house.
yeah, my overhead is so low because most of my jobs are pretty much free.
Yeah, okay. So like power washing, exterior cleaning, like and then like car detailing. There's so many dudes that do that. So like for perspective for them, like what's the split between detailing and like house cleaning? Is it about 50-50?
Probably 60/40. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then that's like what we're looking at now is like you find that the house cleaning is slightly more profitable and more, in your words, like easily to predict what the job looks like. So we're like kind of trying to lean more into that and phase out of the car detailing a tiny bit solely because like there's so much variable in the cars, right? Like you get there and one
Yeah.
of them has dog hair and human,
Yeah.
you know what, in it. Like you don't know until you get there. But like a house clean's a house clean. So like when you're going to hire employees, because you're at the point now where like that's a legitimate conversation.
Yeah.
Like I know you have two, but like if you're doing 5 figures a month, like and you're still busy, you're at the point where like now it's time to hire an employee or two. So is that kind of the idea? Is like now you're like, okay, it's easier to have employees and be able to replicate training when we do more house cleaning, right? Like more exterior cleaning, pressure washing. It's harder
Yeah.
to like cross train somebody for like a bunch of different types of cars, a bunch of different types of issues, dog hair, mold,
Yeah.
gross people. Like you said,
And I
you
mean,
like,
the house cleaning pays so much better anyways, and it's faster. And I just didn't, I was worried about bringing somebody on full time and not being able to consistently bring in, like, what if my ad went down and I didn't know what to do to get business and I just screwed
hmm.
somebody?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So I think that's like a common misconception about like when people see my stuff is they think that like we're just like an ad agency. And so we don't even like touch your ads. Like we kind of point and
Yeah.
we tell you optimize these, let's run some Facebook ads, but we're not like an ad agency at all. So like I guess try to explain like exactly how you would describe because like you referred like two of your friends to us too that have businesses. So I guess like can you just tell me like what you tell your friends when you're grabbing beers, like
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
what your experience is and like what we do?
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like Steve's group is basically a one-stop shop for home service-based businesses that are kind of doing around $5,000 a month, just because there's so many different facets when it comes to scaling that you need to have systems in place to be prepared for. And Steve helped dial my business in all areas, whether it was ads or just how I deal with bad customers and Yeah, I'm definitely a lot more organized and finally ready to bring some people on full time. And I think it would have taken me probably another year or two to get here otherwise, if I did it by myself. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So like you're in like one of two camps, right? So there's like you're like you called with an existing like side hustle trying to get big service-based business. So like typically like you got results really fast because you had a
yeah,
baseline. And the other half and like the guys you interact with in the group come to us from scratch. Like they come to us like at day one. So there's both. But it's interesting talking to you because your results have been like so fast, but you're also like one of the first people this quarter that joined. So I think you're like of this round, like maybe the third guy. And I guess it's like if I break down like the experience with you over the past like 4 to 6 weeks, it was pretty much like everyone starts with a marketing problem and then quickly like the marketing problem is like the easiest thing to fix. It's just
yeah,
blocking and tackling. But then like now you're at day 30 something and now you're like the conversations we have on the group calls and your one-on-ones are much more like operational problems that like you didn't even know existed.
yeah,
And so
100.
like so it's like time tracking on jobs, like how much, especially with you doing two services, like how much time are you spending house clean or like exterior cleaning versus how much time are you spending doing car detailing versus
Yeah,
how much money is each of those doing? Like that level of audit and like business, like deep dive into your business combined with like what's the strategy going forward. So like now you hit 10K, you hit 11K, you hit 12K. It's pretty clear that like now we know like how to market. The issue that you're running into now is how do I scale, add employees, keep my pricing where it needs to be, and then still be able to crank advertising? Because your ad, like for anyone listening, like Carson's cost per customer acquisition, will you share with them what it is? I know you advertise a lot on Facebook and IG ads, but like you also have a like you also do some grassroots stuff. We're gonna do some yard signs soon. But like,
yeah,
would you share with everybody like now that like from when we started, like how much it actually costs you to buy a job?
yeah. So I think my cost per message on Facebook, over like $800 on these two campaigns is about 650 per message, and it probably takes 2 to 3 messages to get a job. So between 12 and 18 bucks for at least 350 in return. It's crazy.
It's stupid, but like that's the key I want people to listen to. You're not even the cheap guy.
Yeah,
Like you're not the $2 Chuck. Like you're charging 350 for auto details, and then your average house and exterior cleaning jobs like what? Isn't it 450, 500 bucks?
450. Yeah,
Yeah. So like you're not just getting good advertising results because you're cheap. And that's like the common misconception with guys is like we just talked about on the group call today, like 2 hours ago, like when guys brag about being booked out 3, 4 weeks, I'm like, dude, that's not a flex. You either A need to hire and double your output daily, like do 2 jobs a day or three
yeah,
jobs a day or whatever it is, or you're too cheap. Like it's one of those two things. It's not a flex to be booked out 4 to 5 weeks when you're a one-man show.
yeah,
And so like that's like what I mean, we had this conversation too. Like you have to like unlearn that. Like if you're booked out that far, there's a hole in the system. Either you're too cheap and you're not getting enough no's. So when you do get yeses, they don't mean enough, or you need to go higher now. So thankfully yours is the latter because you aren't
yeah.
too cheap. But
I
yeah, no,
was
it's
though
just
before
fascinating.
joining. I've increased
What'd you
a
say?
hundred. I think I've increased my detailing prices by 100% since joining, and I haven't had a decrease in jobs booked through Facebook at all, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think that's like that's what I see the most because like now there's 10 guys in the program now, and just about every single one of them, like the first 2 or 3 meetings is like me telling them like, you just joined the program. This is gonna hurt. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but like you're too cheap. This is what you need to do for your next, 15, 20 quotes because you don't know what you don't know. Because guys just think like you even thought like, oh, I'm gonna get way more no's. But when you sit down and do the math, like you can afford to get more no's
Yeah,
if you're charging more. And so it's not just instead of going out to a house working for 2 hours and making $150, I go out to a house, I work 2 hours and make $350 or whatever it is. It's not just that. It's that you also now have like are working less hard for the same amount of money and you're attracting a better quality clientele the higher your prices are. So it's like a fine line between like you need to get no's, obviously. Like we know you need to get no's. But there's
yeah,
like that balance of determining with a structured system, like where is the peak for pricing where people still find value and we're not ripping them off? and I'm still running an actually profitable business and not just working
Yeah.
8 hour days, maybe make enough to pay rent. So that's been really interesting. And then yeah, so like tell I actually think yours is so fascinating. So when we experimented with your pricing change, tell us about like the first 15 when we went to 350 and then on the auto detailing, and then tell them about like when we pushed it and like what happened.
Oh,
Because I think like I want to frame it a little bit. I think it's important for guys to know that like running a business is experimentation in the early age. And so like you need to be in a position where you can afford to experiment on things
yeah.
like pricing, sales scripts, everything. And so like you put your money where your mouth was and actually like took like a little hit in terms of like profitability to determine what your pricing structure should
Yeah.
be. So tell everybody like kind of what the first one was and then what happened when you cranked
Um,
again.
when I increased from 150, which is way too low, that's definitely on the cheaper side, to 350, which is over a 100% increase. I got like
Really
basically
quick, this is
this.
the car detailing.
Yeah, yeah. 150 to 350 for total interior and exterior, and I got the same amount of converted leads into jobs by spending like $100 as I did previously at 150. But as soon as I increased it to 450, literally got 20 no's in a row. So I think over 400 they just got sticker shock, but it was really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. So over 400 on that platform with the message, with the
Yeah,
advertising and messaging that you had, right? And so like
100%.
that's something to take into account. Like, what is your? Sorry, my phone's ringing. It's gonna pop up on the computer.
No
So let me
worries.
just put that. Okay. Yeah, because it's like it's one thing to be positioned in like your ad copy, like the actual ad you run on Facebook or the mailers you send out or something like that needs to reflect the quality of service that you have. And
Yeah,
so combine that with advertising on Facebook and Instagram, which is naturally a tire kicker platform. Like there's much less like because on Facebook and Instagram for people listening that maybe don't run ads yet or something like that, you're showing up to them involuntarily for them. Like they're not looking for you.
yeah,
So like Facebook, Instagram advertising, you're having to stop the scroll, meaning they're doom scrolling looking at dog videos and cooking videos, and then your home service business pops up. And so you have to make ad copy that convinces them to stay. And so if you're just running like still images, they're just gonna be like, "Oh, see ya. I'm gonna go to the next
yeah,
was it
100%.
corgi? How do you pronounce it? Whatever dog video." And so it's important to note too that like I think like the free game that you can give guys specifically is you tested like 10 and you didn't use a Facebook ad agency, you just did it yourself. You tested like 10 different creatives to find
Yeah,
the ads that worked. And so for anyone wondering, creative is like the actual video or photo of the ad and like the text you put on the ad. So the creative in this term just means like what his ad actually was. And so you did 10 creatives to find the one that worked.
and they all failed before that. I was gonna quit Facebook completely, and then I woke up and had like 6 messages from it. This random video ad. And I've been using it since October, so I think you just have to get one that works and then keep it pushing.
Yeah, so I think that's like really important. I think guys need to realize that. So like even I was guilty of it my first year when I had both of my home service businesses was like I would test 2 Facebook ads. I'd put like no effort into the creative because I thought it was all about just targeting people.
Yeah,
And it's the opposite now. So it's like targeting is less important. The actual ad copy and the creative itself, what stops the scroll, is the most important part because the Facebook will learn who your target audience is based on who stops scrolling because the people who are going to stop scrolling on something that has to do with a car or fixing their house or any other home service is going to stop scrolling if they own a house or if they're
yeah,
used to getting car
100%.
detailing. Like if I'm in an apartment, I'm not stopping the scroll for a window cleaner. Like I'm
Yeah,
just not. I don't clean my own windows. Like it's like very basic math. But yeah, okay, I think that's really cool. So uh I guess so. Facebook, Instagram, you acquire customers that way. What other ways are you acquiring customers specifically, like maybe in retargeting or any other thing like that? So, like, some guys can see that you're not just a one trick pony on Facebook. You're 23 years old now, right?
next month. Yeah, I'm 22.
Okay. So you're 22 right now, about to turn 23, and you have a $10,000 to $12,000 a month home service business that you own outright yourself with no partners. So like you are now, like for lack of better term, like someone that a lot of your peers will probably look up to in a way. So like share what's working for you outside of just paid ads for somebody that might not have the budget for paid ads
Yeah.
or something like that?
I think these flyers that you helped me come up with are 10 cents per, and every job we go to, I hand out at least 10 to 20 of them after the job, depending on how far apart the houses are. And I think just being really nice to people that you see walking by on a job site, or even just maintaining good relationships with current customers, like retargeting via SMS. I text all my customers every 2 or 3 months, and that's been a really good crutch through slow season, especially when Facebook wasn't working as well. And yeah, I mean, anybody can do that for free.
Okay, yeah. So one, market the right way. Like get the like it's just input output. But two, once you have info, like one of the things you said, like retargeting, I think that's what a lot of new guys don't do is they're like sheepish to get like a $60 a month CRM because they're
Yeah.
afraid to pay that money versus like how much value it is to have all of your customer data in one spot. So when you say retargeting, you mean like you're going through everyone who's ever contacted you for any quote in the entire lifetime of your business and you're text blasting them, you're email blasting them, all things like that.
Yeah, yeah, mostly just text blasting and predominantly actual customers. I used to text all the quote people too, but I was kind of an idiot at the beginning and didn't have a CRM for like 10 months. I just had a gigantic spreadsheet. So,
That's so many people though. That's like so many dudes. I used Google Calendar for like my
yeah,
first year at
dude,
the
it takes
junction.
so long to go back through it.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like manual data entry.
Yeah.
So okay. So yeah, man. So you're crushing it. So I guess I'm gonna finish it with like two different types of questions. So I'm gonna keep you on your toes here. So first one, and we haven't really had this conversation about like what the plan is after you get to that 10 to 20K range because you're just gonna keep upping your pricing, keep doing
Yeah.
this hiring. So now 10 to 20K is the new normal per month now because it's just repeatable. So like specifically on that front, like what's the monthly number where you're like, I made it? What does that number look like?
Probably because profit is pretty high, just because the services don't require a lot of material expenses. I would say probably 30K a month, and I would be like, okay, this is great. Yeah, that's
So 30K a month, so it's probably like you've probably got, if we reverse engineer that, you've probably got like a 4 to 6 person crew. You guys are probably doing, I mean, rev wise, if you're doing a 30K month, you're probably doing 1,000 to 1,250 a day in
yeah,
revenue. Which, if you think about it that way,
like
that's not
like two to
that
three house
crazy.
watches. Yeah,
Yeah, like that's not that crazy of a number to get to. And so I think it's important for guys too, no matter where you're at. Like if you're at zero, if you're at 5,000, if you're at 10,000, if you're at 100,000 a month, whatever it is, like whatever the next milestone is, I think it's an important exercise to be okay. I want to get to 30K. How do I get there? And then you
yeah,
reverse engineer. Okay, what does that look like per day? Okay, what's my customer acquisition cost? Can I crank my advertising here? Can I afford to hire here? And if the answers are no to both of those questions, then you're probably too cheap to scale. So that's a wonderful exercise for anyone to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Okay, so okay, then this is the last one that I think it'll be fun for you. So just to sum it all up for Carson, everybody, like house washing, uh, and then like auto detailing, 22 years old, doing 10 to 12K a month now in revenue at stupid high margins. Like your margins are probably 80% right now.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Like dumb high margins. So you're making more than like some medical professionals, and you're doing like home service labor at 22 years old. So uh, with that framing, if I were to grab you out of Tennessee, and I'm gonna take you, and I'm gonna change your name, and you have no access to any social media accounts. I'm gonna drop you in Phoenix, Arizona. How would you grow your business now? What's like the first thing you would do to start uh like a home service business, but specifically the house power washing and auto detailing?
I mean, it's about to be summer, so it's busy season. I would just go to Staples, print some flyers, use like a library computer or my phone to make a good flyer, and then just go door to door until I had enough money to start running some paid ads. But I've been annoying all my friends so much just because most of them are graduating college right now, and I'm trying to get all of them to do the same thing because there's just so much upside. in this industry, and it's so awesome.
Okay, so you'd go out and you'd go like if so yeah, so like to clarify, if you had no money,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what okay, yeah, yeah,
for
that makes
sure.
sense. So yeah, so yeah, so like the one like the grassroots route is you go out, you go grab flyers and you just hammer it door to door, hand out flyers, just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
door knock. Let's just say you knock on 50 doors, you probably get a job every one or two jobs out of those 50 doors. So it's just at that point, if you have no money, that's the best way to do it.
yeah.
Now,
100.
imagine that like you have a 30K a year job. Sorry, my dogs are freaking out at somebody at the door. Let's imagine you have like a 30K a year job. Um, you got $1,000, $2,000 in your pocket a month extra to spend, probably a little bit extra than they probably would have. But what would you do then if you had a little money?
Just Facebook. I mean, when I started, I did not have much money, and I mean, you can spend as little as $10 a day and get great results back as long as you just find an ad that works. I think you could start realistically with like 250, $300 on Facebook, and you could definitely make that money back and then figure out what works and just keep on reinvesting.
Dude, I love it. Okay, that's awesome. So I think that's some good free game for everybody. So again, 22 years old to wrap it all up. 22 years old, about to be 23. You're out of Tennessee. You run a power washing company, and you do a little bit of auto detailing with that. Came in 750 to $1,000 a week. 30 days in, systems are fixed, advertising's fixed, sales scripts are somewhat fixed, targeting's fixed, ad budgets are fixed. Um,
Customer
Systems
relations.
and organizations and customer relationships management is fixed. Um, all that to be said, it's like it's not just a marketing thing; it's an everything thing. So now you're going from 750 to $1,000 a week to consistently 2,800 to 3,000 plus a week in revenue, while
Crazy.
staying pretty similar in margin.
Yeah, 100%.
That's awesome, dude. So, yeah, if you could give any advice to anybody listening that's in the power washing specific world, what would like your one piece of advice be if you could give anybody just one or two sentences of free game?
Don't get discouraged by slow weeks and just take advantage of good weeks when you have them, I guess.
I like it. I like it. So, to wrap it up, it's never as good as you think it is when it's
Yeah.
good, and it's
Yeah.
never as bad as you think it is when it's bad.
100% and join a freaking program, guys. Would have taken
Yeah,
way
that's
longer.
yeah, that's what everybody that's like what I always tell everybody is like there's times where anybody who has a home service business that's working, everybody knows that feeling of like it's Monday and you've got 5 jobs booked for the week and you feel invincible and you're like it's never gonna end and then
Yeah.
like it could be Thursday and you're like I'm the worst entrepreneur ever. My phone hasn't rang in 3 days. I finished all these jobs, 2 out of 5 of them canceled. I'm the
Oh yeah.
worst. Like they're like that's like doesn't matter what you're doing, where you're
It's
going. That's like
brutal.
the same story for everybody. Okay, dude, that's awesome. I think this should probably help a lot of people, and also just be some good free game mixed in there too. So yeah, I'll link if you want me to link any socials, Carson. I will. This or Carson, I will. This is just gonna go on like probably YouTube and then just get clipped out and put on like IG and
Cool, cool.
TikTok.
Yeah, no, don't worry about the Lincoln.
Okay. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, man. It's been fun growing it, so I'm excited. We got 2 more months or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
dude, I'm really
it'll be
excited.
really funny. Yeah, it'll be fun to do this at the end
Yeah,
and like see what
100%.
at the end of the 90 days. But yeah, dude, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing this on a Sunday too.
Yes, sir. No worries.
Dude, you're the man.
But I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, dude.